Welcome to ComicCast issue number 194, brought to you by Dwayne's World Comics and Games, 457 East Sullivan Street in Kingsport, Tennessee. They carry comic books, graphic novels, statues, toys, gaming merchandise, including miniature games, board games, and RPGs. Check them out. Dwayne's World Comics and Games, Kingsport, Tennessee. My name is Boogie Bentley.
And I'm Adam Wade Adams.
I'm Jason.
And this is Gaumer.
We are at ComicCast Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you get social with your media. You're listening to this on YouTube. Go ahead and do us a favor real quick. Smash the like button. Share out the link. Let's grow the live chat. We had a very interesting discussion in the pre-show.
It ended with a bang, and then you made us stop.
Well, I'm so sorry. Patreon.com/ComicCastPod. Check it out. We got a special guest this week. The comic book writer, creator of Hot Lunch Special, Midnight Vista and Cult Classic, currently working on Bleed Them Dry and A Robot's Tale, Eliot Rahal, not to be confused with those redneck Rahals. Welcome to the show.
Well, I don't even know where to begin with that one.
Just insult Boogie.
That's fine. I can play that. I can play that game.
You want to make it real fun? Look what I'm drinking out of tonight.
Well, yeah. First of all, real quick before we begin, I had no idea yet you guys were out in Kingsport. Go Rocky Top. I lived in Knoxville, Tennessee for 2 years.
Nice.
I got a lot of love for Tennessee and the three-starred flag. And Kingsport is a very lovely town. I'm
in Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, I'm not going to lie. I never had a fun time in Nashville once.
Me too.
I prefer the hillbilly city of Knoxville, Tennessee, because I have never been anywhere like that in my entire life. And it was awesome. And I met a lot of great people, and it made me appreciate, you talking about redneck Rahal, right? But like, if we're going to start out honest, like I grew up in Illinois, and my family's from Ohio, and we're all Arabs, and like, we had a specific sort of view on certain places that weren't where we lived.
Sure.
I'm ashamed to admit that, but it's the truth. And like, I don't know. I moved to Tennessee, made a lot of great friends there. That's where I decided I'd get married to my wife. And like, that is a place where I consider myself, like, not to use like toxic language or whatever, but that's like where I began my journey from being a boy to a grown man. And so I have a lot of love for that place.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Not to get too serious on you, but we got to make things serious. That's the way we start the show. So what's your favorite Rocky movie?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, shit.
There are no wrong answers. There's no wrong answers.
Unless you say you've never seen one, that's wrong.
No, I don't know about that.
I've seen every single one of them, including Creed 2.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. If you're asking me for my like favorite Rocky movie, like I'm gonna go Rocky 1. Like it is a very good movie. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, listen, like it's the cheap answer, but it's the truest.
It's not.
It's the truest answer.
It's the most popular answer.
I feel like there's a huge but at the end of that statement.
But I love 4 so much.
I do love 4.
Everybody loves 4.
Exactly.
But 1 is still the best.
4 is everybody's favorite, and they lie to be some film person. It's like,
no, I mean, 4
they lie to feel artsy. No, 1 is still a better movie.
I'm from Illinois, but Ohio I know very well because my entire family is from Ohio, Comic Book Bob. But shout out to the Buckeye State. No, I mean, Rocky 1 is just beautiful. I mean, it's a beautiful story about a man who's got no brain cells trying to be something. And like there's something beautiful about that story. Rocky 2 is only good for one scene, which is
Oh,
Let's all pose.
oh no. This is the worst.
Oh, no,
you're
we're
coming back.
There
There
we
you are.
go. You're back.
Rocky
Yeah, you're
2
back,
is
good.
good for one scene.
which is what are we waiting for?
Yes, yes.
And it's the only good scene in the entire movie.
That's awesome.
Rocky 3 is fine.
Hulk Hogan, man. You can't, yeah. Hulk
Put the
Hogan.
Fine,
Clubber
Thunder
Lang
Light, man.
emoji in the
That's
chat
beginning of
tonight, hoping
Hulkamania,
somebody would
right?
change that.
Now at the
Rocky-
end of, I was going to say at the end of 2 is where you get that infamous scene with the ding ding.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
pretty
that's
good too.
right.
That's
And
pretty
that is
Yeah.
good. That is
Ring the
good.
bell.
good.
Rocky 4, I'm going to take a hot take. Rocky 4 would be a lot better if there wasn't a robot in it. I know the
Oh,
robot.
Paulie F that robot.
Are you
Paulie
friends
bang
with
that
Ryland
robot,
Grant?
dude.
Do
You're
you know
gonna diss
Ryland
Paulie's
Grant?
sexual partner?
Listen, man.
We
I
take
love
our
the
Rocky
robot.
very seriously around
Nothing
here.
wrong with
Yeah.
banging a robot unless it's like a sentient robot and you don't have permission. Oh my gosh, this is the best Rocky conversation we've had since Ryland.
I know.
What is
it's
going
frozen.
on? I hate
Ryland.
that. It's
Here's the thing.
Wait, you're back. You're back. You're back. Okay.
There is nothing wrong with fucking a robot. That is not, not what I am saying. I am not here to shame anybody. I am just saying that I bet you the movie would have been a better story had there not been a robot in there.
Would you have wanted
All
the
right.
robot replaced with like a
All right.
human made and had like an actual?
Not had that scene. I think I would have just not done it at
Oh,
all.
okay.
If you had
He
a
ended
fighting
the Cold
robot,
War
yeah.
though.
Gomer,
He ended
Gomer.
the Cold
I
War.
think
Come on.
Ryland, I know you're probably going to listen to this show.
Ryland
That
Grant
needs to be the quote on the back of your next comic, no matter what it's about, is Elliot saying there's nothing wrong with fucking a robot. That needs to
She
be on the
loves
back.
him. She loves him. It's a love story.
Listen, I'm not here to judge people. I've had made many sins in my past. But and then Rocky 5 is just a wet fart, as we all,
Yeah.
I think, probably agree.
Mhm.
Rocky, I forget the titles from past Rocky 5.
Yeah, Rocky
but
Balboa, I think. Yeah.
Rocky Balboa,
Yeah.
I mean, they really should have just ended this franchise.
I think
You know, I mean, I thought Creed 1, I will say that Creed 1 was very good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I like Creed.
But
I-
Creed 2 felt unnecessary.
They're doing another one.
If you take the series as a whole, I kind of think Rocky 2 and 3 could have been combined because 2 is kind of unnecessary, in my opinion.
Well, he needed
But
to
if you think
become
of it,
champ.
if you think of the series in the whole, though, it all makes sense of where he started, where it's going. Number 5, he ends up broke again, back where he
Yeah.
started.
2.
Rocky Balboa, he's in his
Yeah.
older days, and then Creed, he's passing it on. I mean, it kind of makes sense when you think of it in the grand scheme of things.
No,
Creed
I-
2, we could have possibly done without.
it just wasn't executed very well. I thought it was a good idea. I mean, it's a good idea. It is a good idea, but like
Yeah.
it was boring.
I've yet to see Creed
Yeah.
2, and I've been like trying to get Rocky 4 Part 2 made since I was a kid. So now it's like the closest thing I've got to that. Yeah, so I
It's
gotta
not
watch
Rambo,
this.
Jason.
Right. Yeah, it's not Commando 2.
First Blood, Rocky Part 2.
It is fun. I love watching. I watch Rocky. I think like once a year for some reason.
Nice.
Probably, usually always during Thanksgiving.
Nice.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's
Yeah,
a good time to watch movies.
Mhm.
It's,
Yeah,
it's
true.
kind of like for some reason, I think it started because it was always playing when we go to the beach, but like around July, August, it's
That makes
always
sense.
seems to be the time to binge watch Twilight Zone. I don't know.
Mhm.
That's
I
out
don't
of
know.
nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
We're just talking- Yeah.
I watch occasional episodes just here and there, just because it's just like really good short storytelling,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and like that's always just fun. But
Yeah.
I have really bad focus problems, so like that's just a problem. for me.
Adam too.
Yeah.
That's how he can seamlessly segue from Rocky to Twilight Zone in a single.
That's right.
That's why my name is.
I watch Rocky 1 because, like, I mean, like, I love to cry, and like, I'm always worried I'm a sociopath, and like, you know, like, and I just like need. Sometimes you just purposefully watch things that move you to make sure you can still feel.
Rudy, every time it gets me
Yeah.
every time.
I love the Source Comics too, Ryan.
Nice.
Even though he's spelling my fucking name wrong.
Come on, Ryan.
Oh, big buddy.
That's our
Where's
number one
Amy?
fan. We apologize.
Where's
on
Amy,
this,
Ryan?
Yeah, where's Amy?
Ryan, where's Amy? We need to get Amy back in here.
Kidding. So, what's up, guys?
Yeah.
I'm still just living on the high of that Rocky conversation, to be honest with you.
No, I love
That,
talking.
actually-
Rocky.
All on it, that might have been the best Rocky conversation we've had, Elliot.
That's a
Wow.
shame because I mean, that's really a shame
I know.
because I mean, the first script is very lovely. Like, it's a very lovely script. When you pare it down, that is a man who should have never stepped in the ring because he's clearly. I mean, some of the lines in that movie are just ridiculous. Like, it's just like, oh, like, don't these birds look like candy? Don't you want these birds to fly away? Fly away, all pretty birds. And it's like, you're a fucking, like, what does that mean? Like, and you will not leave that poor woman alone.
Yeah.
The first one, it's those scenes where he's like, where he shows him jogging, and he's just at the end of his jog, he's just slow, and it's almost like his life is going nowhere, and then
then one old man turns it around.
He steps outside of his comfort zone with Adrian, and then he gets that opportunity, and he just goes. It's that once in a lifetime shot, and he goes all in.
Well, because that's all you can do. Like, right? Like, I mean, like,
I think Eminem said it best. Mom spaghetti.
Yeah. No, it's just like, I mean, everybody has like their own pains, and some pains are like whatever, and some pains are like, you know, I'm not gonna like go there because like we don't want to measure our lives against each other, but like, you know, Rocky's the story about a man who everyone put into a box and said, you are this person, right? And like, this is who you are, and that's who you always will be. And we see him believe it at the beginning of the movie. And at the end of the movie, right before the fight, when he's with Adrian in bed, he's not talking about how he wants to win. He just wants to talk about how he's more than what people see he is. And like, that is, I think, such a human story that is like very, very moving, you know?
I really didn't mean to restart the entire Rocky conversation again. I apologize for that. Let's somehow transition into comic books. You talked a little bit about
books, am I right? How about that, Boogie?
You talked a little bit earlier about you know, where you were raised and then moving to Tennessee. What have you been a reader of comics your whole life? When did you come into comics? What's that story like?
I came into comics when I was 16 or 17, which is, I guess, pretty late. When, you know, and that's like something that intimidates me still today, as like, you know, I meet a lot of people, probably some people such as yourselves, who have been reading comics since they were 5 or perhaps.
I started reading comics like 3 years ago, and now I do a comic book podcast.
I've been reading. I've been reading since I was 8. So
right.
Yeah.
But it's just like, there is like an intimidation there because there is a lot of that, and it's just like I always feel dumb or whatever. But like, I started reading them in high school, and you know, I just got lucky, and I just caught like everything I read first was like famous. You know what I mean? Like, and then it's just like, oh, these are great, and then you know, here we are.
Nice.
That's how I feel coming into comic, especially as late as I did. It's like, I'll ask these guys, they'll give me a suggestion, I go pick up a trade and I read it, and it's like, man, just
we've already done the work for you.
Yeah, exactly.
But we need, honestly, more of that. It's one of the number one problems in the industry is that everyone's so precious about their sacred fucking knowledge, and it's like, Okay, that's great that you want to feel cool, but the people who work in high fidelity behind the counter are actually losers in real life. And
Right.
it's a huge pet peeve of mine. I think you shouldn't shame anyone for being interested in something that desperately needs your fucking money. It's a huge pet peeve of mine. And
me too. Yeah, I can't stand gatekeepers. Whether it be whatever media you're into. I work in the music industry, and there's a lot of extreme metalists that are have a certain same mindset as some comic book fans. Apparently, it's weird.
Right.
There's those weird Star Wars guys too that are like that. I don't understand the mentality of why. I guess to make themselves feel special, but
generally,
I'm all about
generally if
inclusivity.
you do that, you're a loser, in my opinion.
Right. I agree.
I think you're a loser, and and generally the people who don't do that are the ones who know how to make money. And I hate to put it on a cynical level like that, but it's just anybody who purposefully tries to keep their audience small isn't actually a creative. Because the purpose of creation on a it's not the purpose, but if you're I'm trying to make money writing. I want people to read my fucking books.
It's at least a part of it,
Right. Why can't we be honest about it? I think there is an artistic element to it, absolutely, but there's also a business side of it. And if there's nothing wrong with trying to get your books in the hands of people right now, especially during this time when everything's all fucking weird.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite thing that you've written so far?
My favorite story I ever wrote was a one-shot comic book from Valiant called "Escape from the Gulag."
Oh yeah, that's rad. That was part of some weird I don't read much Valiant, but it was not
many people do.
Almost like a Crisis style event where everything switched around or something. Yeah, I remember reading that because the cover was very cool.
There are many covers, but yes, the one that
it was when they were peeking through a.
Yeah. That story just that was a rocky moment for me. There was a story where I was really down and out, or that was at a time where I was really down and out, and I needed somebody to take a shot on me, and Warren Simon took a shot on me, and I put everything I had into it, and that book, in more ways than one, it didn't teach me what my voice was, but it taught me what I don't know. It just pushed me to where a sort of light kind of switched on, and I mean, I know it's pretty heavy-handed, and there's a lot of Christian symbolism in there, and a lot of people don't like that for one reason or another, and that's fine. I myself am a very spiritual person, but I'm not necessarily a Christian, right? But I thought there were some. I don't know. That is a story that I always look as a turning point to me that not many people read because it was the fourth issue in a Crisis style event that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's really interesting. When was the switch on moment for you from going from being a reader to a writer? Well,
I was writing prior, and I had been working prior, but I had just had a really bad year that year to where a bunch of books got canceled. Some important relationships fell away, and I was 27 and waiting tables, and I'm married, and I'm thinking to myself, did I fucking ruin my life? You know what I mean? Did I ruin my life pursuing this? And then I got the opportunity, and I decided to myself, it wasn't about me at that moment. It was about my wife, and I'm okay, I can be a loser, right? If I wanted to be a loser, I'll be a loser, and I'll die in obscurity and a failure to my family and myself. But I think about it in the sense that when you're married to someone and they dedicate themselves to you and you dedicate yourself to them, I refused to allow my wife to make a bad decision, right? Like that's what it came down to me. Like I'm not going to ruin this person's life, right? Like I'm not going to let my bitterness or my anger or my frustration poison the thing that had saved me, right? And and that's, I still keep that feeling in my heart today. It's just you get up and work not for yourself but for the people you love, right? Or at least that's what I do, and that's how I've been able to find my footing. At least there's still more I want to do, but I mean, obviously none of us are all satisfied at any time, but I feel better than I was 4 years ago.
That's good. Yeah. I do want to, today I reread Midnight Vista and Hot Lunch Special, just to refamiliarize myself with them. I guess apparently Midnight Vista was based on a true story. Can you tell me about that?
Based, inspired, whatever words you want to use. The real life story is very boring.
Okay.
It is really boring, but I mean, I believe when I was a kid that my stepdad and I had a close encounter of some kind, right? And it resulted in a couple hours of missing time. And I don't know what happened. The things that my stepfather tells me that happened are pretty fucking crazy, right? It's pretty fucking out there, and I don't know what to do with that. But or something else really bad happened, and maybe I created a memory for myself. I don't think that happened, but it is certainly a moment that I mean, again, not to bring it back to spirituality, but the closest person you can it's when you meet somebody who really loves God, right? And it's there's an elevation to them. If they're a good person and they're the kind of person who loves God that you want to be around, right? And I'm not trying to turn this into church, I swear to God. But
it's okay.
Yeah, I know, but it's a type of person where they feel elevated, where they feel necessarily they understand what really matters, which is friendship, love, dedication, and a Mr. Rogers type person. And it's just I am not that man, but that is the man I want to be, right?
Yeah,
and
you can strive to be that man.
Yeah.
Right. That's the man you want to be. And or at least that's the man I want to be. And what that grappling with what happened was, I mean, it's just a moment of okay, well then now what the fuck? Right? What am I supposed to fucking do with that? And it's either the world is as it is, right? Or something fucking crazy is going on. And however you define that or whatever it's defined by, I don't know. But I believe something insane happened, and I choose to believe that, and exploring that has been very important. And as a kid growing up, I was always kind of a head in the sky kind of kid, I was just always daydreaming, and is that a result of what happened, or is that just who I am in general, or are they intermixed? I don't know. I mean, writing Midnight Vista was a cathartic exercise.
Nice.
In determining that it just I mean, it's such a cop out, but it's it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because I'll never be able to comprehend it. All I know is that I believe in the incomprehensible, right? And I find power and comfort in it. But there are, I don't know. There's a lot of things that it could be, and there's a lot of things that can contribute to that belief, like privilege or having things, you know, I mean, I don't know. But, and then like, so it's a little bit of that, right? Of that big, heavy stuff. And then like, I live in Minnesota, and there's a really famous story that's very sad about a boy in Minnesota named Jacob Wetterling. And Jacob in the early 90s was stolen. He was taken. And, you know, for many, many years, over a decade, almost so, he was the milk carton kid in the state of Minnesota. And like his parents were instrumental in helping like launch the national sex registry list and like all that stuff. And then when I was living in Minnesota and been moving there, my wife is from here, and they found him. They solved the case of his death. And it is very, very gruesome. And it's very, very sad. But it was a moment where like the last time I felt anything like this, I mean, aside from right now with the pandemic where we're all kind of experiencing like that right now, was like during 9/11, you know, and it was just like, it was just crazy to be around so many people who were like, I just kept hearing people just go like, I grew up with Jacob on the back of a milk carton. And I thought that was like really powerful. And I got the idea, it's like, okay, well, what if you took a story like that, where it's like, here's a kid that's gone missing, but he didn't go missing for the reasons why people think he did, even though everyone assumes it. And he went missing because fucking aliens took him or whatever. And then he comes back, and it's like, would you believe him? And I, from experience, can say, no, nobody would believe him. Like, nobody would believe him. And the whole story is about him trying to prove them wrong. But the sad part about it is that, like, the more you try to do that, the crazier you look, right? Sure. I mean, that was the goal of the story, at least.
Nice.
And Clara Meath did a great job, and so did Taylor and Mark.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't want to ruin. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's the deal where the more you say, I'm not crazy, people think you're crazy.
That's right.
The more you, you can't win, I guess, for lack of better words.
No, you can't. But, you know, it made me realize something about myself too, which was like, you know, it's very interesting how before the book I was like very like not anti-Christian, but like I would poo-poo Christianity or like or organized religion in a way, and then like realizing it's like, well, like I'm saying something crazy, right? Objectively totally insane. And it's just like I would like people to give me the grace of at least like hearing what I have to say and like knowing that my belief means something to me. And it's just like, well, then how come I can't? Why am I not doing that to somebody else?
Sure.
Like when they are like the belief that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, it's equally insane to what I'm saying.
It goes back to that old quote, though. For those that believe, no explanation is needed. For those that don't, no explanation will do.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, we have that conversation all the time behind the scenes. The people that don't have faith don't understand it, and that's, you're in the same situation with your story. It's like we can sit here and go, "You're insane." Like this is not reality because we are not walking in your shoes.
Right. But I think it is important though to acknowledge it is insane. Right. Like I think you. I think what
if it was believable, you wouldn't need faith. The faith is the important part.
Right. It's easy to believe what you see.
Yeah. Like no matter what happened to you, Eliot, you're explaining it in a way that makes you feel a certain way about the thing that happened to you. And that helps you get, to accept what had happened, no matter what it was. So it's not up to other people to believe you, as long as you are getting some benefit from the belief and it's not hurting anyone else. That's where I sort of
and I also draw the line there. It's like let's not impose or whatever. But it's just like I think it's important for people of faith. Like I think so often, especially in America, like we're raised where like this is what normal is, right? And it's just like, well, wait a minute, like. It's like, what is church, right? If you think about church, what is a church? And a church is just a place for people to gather for 1 to several hours, depending on your cultural background, for people to be fucking nuts, right? It's like, I mean, like that's what it is, right? You're
anything from singing all the way to handling snakes.
Right. Well, if you had no idea, if you had no perspective on exactly what they were doing, you would look at that and be like, what are they doing?
Right.
Yeah,
if you were an alien that came to Earth and looked at church and you're like, oh, so that's where you go to scream at the sky for 2 hours. Like,
yeah.
And that's like, I think a lot of people of faith do themselves a disservice by not acknowledging that. Like,
I think I've always treated faith as a blessing. And I think if more people thought like, oh, they're not blessed, I need to, not force a blessing on them, but hope that they have the same thing that I get. And it's impossible to individually define what that means. You pretty much just take their word for it that they are agreeing with whatever you're agreeing with. Yeah. And I don't think that should matter. As long as they're finding some sort of, healing or benefit out of it, then it's a positive.
Everyone, I think everyone in the world is trying to find their own answer. And for one to say, I mean, to say you don't, if
Adam's trying to be real,
if you don't have faith in something, that's one like a Christian is heaven and hell. But for someone to say they don't believe that, then they have faith that what they're saying is true, because if it's not, they're according to certain
you're gambling with eternity is what you're doing.
Basically,
that's what you're talking
about. So one or the other, you got to have faith on whether you're right or not.
Right,
but I think everyone's just finding
there's a mechanism of faith in rejecting it.
Right, right, exactly.
And
I think it's funny you said if an alien comes down to Earth. Do you think that if an alien did come to Earth, that it would find Scientology like the most comprehensible?
Adam's like, I'm into this conversation right now.
No. And I have an answer for that specifically. One, I believe aliens have already came to Earth. But two, Scientology is a sham and a cult.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it was started to feed the ego of a very small yet dynamic man.
For sure.
And it's got nothing to do with anything other than that. And come at me, Scientologists. Yeah.
They will actually chase you and harass you.
They do.
It's getting taken down.
I'm fascinated by Scientology. But like, I don't know. I look at it this way, and it's just like, what are the things that have saved me in life? And the things that save you in life aren't real, right? Love is real, right? Love is real, but love is not quantifiable. Like, if you guys are lucky enough to have partners in your life, it's just like, we think about how much, I hate to like put it in this way, right? But think about like Harry Potter, right? He was going to kill Harry Potter with that fucking death curse, right? And then his mother's love saved him. But like his mother's love was like invisible, right? That's what like love is. It's like an invisible blanket that lifts you up. And it's a choice somebody else is making that you can't control, right? And like, but that choice that they're making means everything in the entire world. Right. It means that it's something that everyone needs. You cannot exist on this planet without somebody loving you. Right. And it's just like, I don't know. I think about that a lot. And it's such an enormous feeling because hate is so easy. Hate is so easy to direct. It's so easy to quantify. There's so many symbols for hate. There's so many things that you can do. But like love is, and it sounds cheesy, but like love is a much more difficult feeling to really understand because like, I think it's so easy to focus on hate because it's so directed and it's so aggressive and it's so in your face. Whereas love is like passive, and love requires grace, and love requires forgiveness, and love requires you like, there's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
And I think about this stuff a lot. I'm not, again, an expert on anything. It's just how
it's interesting though.
Oh
It's
yeah,
deep
yeah.
questions.
It's hard to love people. Loving people is not easy. And it's like watching people around me go through divorces and different time, hard times in their life. And it's like, it's easy to hang it up and walk away. It's easy to quit. Just quit on a relationship. But if you look at marriage as being for life, like it's a lifetime agreement that you've made. It's not, it's easy when you meet your wife or your significant other and everything's all rainbows and happy. But when you move in together and you start living together and you're going through that grind together, sometimes it ain't easy. Sometimes it ain't
not.
easy.
Yeah. And like, again, you want to stand in the right place every single day, but you don't. It's just that's not human, right? That's not human. But like, you can try, right? Like, and like, that's, I mean, I am not a good man, right? But I want to be, right? And like, I don't know.
I think that's fair for all of us to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny. For me, I grew up in a very strict religious household, and I'm an existential nihilist with a huge leaning towards absurdism. But that was, for me, religion has ruined my relationship with like my family, my mother and stuff. Like I don't talk to them because I'm a non-believer. You know what I mean? And so for me, religion has like ruined that for me. It is hard, but I mean,
you talk to me and I'm on,
I know,
what I mean?
But once again, it depends on your type of faith and stuff. And this, unfortunately, for my family and our relationship is a certain way. Yeah, and I get it too. And I appreciate religion though for being there for people who need it. You know what I mean? It's there for something. Yeah, and like you, I feel like. Yeah, and like you, I feel like I've lived through a bunch of traumatic experiences through my whole entire life, and I feel like that doesn't matter at the end of the game. At the end of the day, it's who you are at the end. You've grown, and you've decided who and what to love and stuff, and you have your own reason behind things. And also, just as being in like an existential nihilist with a huge lean towards absurdism. A lot of people think, oh no, he's, a defeatist, he has a lot of hate and stuff, but it's the exact opposite where it's like, you kind of appreciate things for what they are because for me, in my mindset, it's like, just very temporary, you know what I mean? Like everything's temporary and special. The moment we have together is even more special, like you have I feel like you have a lot more love and stuff. That's for me, my outlook of it. I have a lot more love, a lot more patience, and try to be more understanding because I know like for me, I know it's just everything's temporary. We have a short amount of time. But so yeah, I agree with you, man. It's hard to find that love and that appreciation for people for some. And for me, I think it's just a bunch of meta decisions piled upon each other that leads everyone to this, certain different conclusions. But yeah, man, this is awesome. I'm glad we're having this conversation. This is really cool, and I need to have your outlook and stuff.
I appreciate you sharing that with me too. I mean, and that's unfortunate. And that's the story of too many people, sadly. And like, I'm not gonna, we could all talk about that until the,
Oh yeah.
But like, I mean,
you can talk about Christianity and what it is and what it's supposed to be, and you can talk about people that are religious. It's not my job to judge Jason, or it's my job to love Jason, whether he disagrees with me, whether he agrees with me, and that goes across the board with every person that is our
job. Though. What you just said, it is our job to love each other, and it is a job. Like, love is not easy. Like you said, it's dedication and practice. Like, and it's just like, I don't know. I mean, I'm such a fraud. Like, it's like, my friend Alex Packnadel told me this really great quote from his grandfather about like, my grandfather was the type of man who practiced his virtues. He didn't signal them. Right. And it's like, how do I be that man? Yeah. Right. How do I be that guy? Easy. No, it's not. It is not. And like, we're all chasing peace, right? That's the ultimate goal. We want peace. Like happiness is not a thing, but peace is a thing, right? Happiness is a momentary feeling, but peace is like a spiritual wave that you're riding, right? Like, I don't know.
We're all trying to find our answers.
Right. And like, honestly though, I am a firm believer in absurdism. Like, I mean, the existence is insane, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Like, you know, the fact that we're talking to each other is crazy.
Yeah.
You can lay awake at night and drive yourself insane with that thought alone.
Oh yeah,
crazy.
absolutely.
I just go over Star Trek reruns in my head.
Right. But
yeah,
like, I mean, like I personally believe that we only have one choice, which is optimism, right? But in order to be truly optimistic, I think you have to be real about what's happening, right? And like, I think currently we are living in like a dystopia, right? Like, I don't think you can argue that. Like, I mean, this is the United States of America, and now we're seeing our friends and neighbors walking around grocery stores with masks on. Did you ever thought you'd live to see that day?
Right, exactly.
I don't want to bring.
You only saw in movies and video games before.
Right. Or like when you see like, you know, CNN Asia, like, you know, and you see shots of what's going on in China or whatever. Like, I don't want to bring it to a political place, but it's just like, listen, like this president, I am not a supporter of him by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just like, we have a reality TV show host as a president. Like, and it's just like, what the fuck is happening? Like, it's like, exactly. Regardless of how you feel about him, it's like, let's look at the facts here and let's look at who's in charge of the greatest democracy in the modern nation. And it's like, it's this guy who like functionally can't read. And it's like very, very frightening. And it's like, we live in a very frightening time. However, I still feel like we can come out of it. Like, I feel a lot of hope about it. Like, because like, there's no other choice. There's just no other choice.
Yeah, I think humans are like survivors in general. Like humans have survived forever, and they have that fight in them. You know, it's like that Rocky story all over again. You know what I mean? Yeah. The humans have that fight to keep going in survival.
But I also just I think of that line from one of the Terminator movies where he says it's in your nature to destroy yourselves.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that is true. I mean, I think we self-sabotage and set ourselves up for.
But listen to that statement though. Like the act of destruction on the level that you're talking about is still cynically a collaboration, right? We cannot destroy ourselves individually. We have to destroy ourselves through cooperation.
Yeah,
it's a team effort.
Well, it is.
No, it's right.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
it is.
I mean, you think about this pandemic and people going nuts, like just people. I'm not going to specific one product, but people just buying up all the products and then trying to make money off of their fellow person,
and then having barbecues and get-togethers. It's like, what are you doing?
I don't know. I think, but then I see some nice memes on social media, and that renews my faith. That renews my faith.
Be very good. But it's just like, I don't know, like if you look at the pandemic as a whole, it is, yes, are there belligerents involved? Yes. Are there like non-believers involved? Yes. And like those people are a problem because some of those people hold positions of power. However, I heard a news report that's saying that 99% of Americans knew what the words COVID-19 or coronavirus were about a month ago. And it's just like, most Americans don't even know the name of the vice president.
Right.
Like that is an example of the human race getting into a huddle and just going, this shit is fucking serious.
Yeah,
like, you know, and like, I think there's like something to be said about that. And like, I personally, the energy I'm trying to put out into the world is like, this is how we get a war on global climate change. Like, I think cynically it's going to happen because our economy's fucked and like everything's fucked. But like, I think we're going to get it because everything's fucked. And now people understand like an existential crisis, and like no one likes it. Like no one likes it. Like everyone hates it, and some people are a little bit more verbal about it.
Well, hurricane season's right around the corner. We'll see how we
Oh,
react
no.
to a hurricane
boy.
season
Already
during
being
a
added
pandemic.
to,
So
this is already being added to the likes of like the stock market crash, and I think I've even heard some people talk about the now I'm drawing a blank.
The Great Depression.
The Great Depression, like
We're living in history.
this is
gonna
being
be
added
history.
to that.
And
unprecedented time.
I personally believe it will go into a depression. Again, I don't
Me
want to
too.
take it to a political place. I think it's going to go to a depression based specifically off of leadership and not necessarily the crisis. But like
Sure.
from that depression, I think, you only got one option. You're going to get up, you're going to stay down. Like, that's the
Rocky
Rocky.
Balboa.
Bringing it back to Rocky.
There we
Like,
go.
Beautiful.
I mean, if you want to tie it to other work, the reason I think this way is because of how I was raised. And it's like I was raised by my father, who is a second generation Arab, right? And like my grandfather, my H.A.T.E, was a first generation Arab. And like I wrote a lot of Hot Lunch Special based off of the people and the places in my life and that meant something to me. And it's just like, listen, like all right, like you guys are from Tennessee, right? So like, or live in Tennessee, I should say.
Jason's dog snoring. That dog's like, I don't live in Tennessee.
Yeah, she's like sleeping next to me. I keep moving. Sorry.
So it's like, being Catholic in the South is still sometimes weird, right? And it's just like, so my grandfather, World War II, he was raised something called Maronite Catholic, right? And Maronite Catholic is in communion with the Holy Roman Church.
Okay.
All you need to know about Maronite Catholic is that it's just, what if it was weirder, right? What if it was weirder and longer, right? Like, and so it's like, that is not a good thing to be if you are a certain kind of immigrant, right? Immigrants make decisions based off of like, my family was very assimilative, right? So like, but they were assimilative, like they had to think about things that you wouldn't necessarily think about, like, oh, how are people going to look at you based off of what church you go to? Like, and so they used church as a weapon. And like, so they converted to something called being a Christian Scientist, right? And like,
Wow.
Right. But the reason why they did that, again, is because my grandfather said, see those white people over there? They have money. Go figure out how they got it. And like that, it came down to that only. He took a very cynical view of religion and like said, use it as a tool. And he was right. But I would say most people don't look at it that way. It's not a social climbing tool for most people. And like that spirit is applied to everything in life, right? And I don't, it's not necessarily a good thing to be, because then, you're not really having honest relationships with people. But like, there is something about it you kind of admire, right? Where it's just like, I'm going to figure it out. Like, I'm going to figure it out. I'll join the right groups and I'm going to blend in as much as possible. But what these people don't know is that I'm fucking working them, right? Like,
Sure.
and like, that is very like awful and cynical. And it's like, I do it myself to this day. Like, like even with you guys right here, there are things you can say to people to get them interested. The thing is that like, I believe everything I'm saying. The difference is that I just like know what I'm doing while I'm saying it. And it's just like, does it make you feel like a psychopath? Absolutely. But it's
it sounds like a TV show or something. It sounds like
Adam. Can we talk about TV?
Sounds like an idea.
No, it does. It sounds like it's like it sounds like I mean, with your Hot Lunch Special, and even you being with the being Minnesota, all I could think of was Fargo, because I've been watching Fargo, and I was like, this sounds like a season of Fargo.
I was hoping it would sell for the third season or fourth season, but I don't think they read it. No, I mean, the parallels to Fargo are like unavoidable, but like I don't give a shit. Like the Coens did not invent Minnesota.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, it's great though. So
when can we expect a sequel to Hot Lunch Special? So it kind of had that cliffhanger.
You know, the artist, he's been going through a real hard time lately. So it's just like, I don't know. He's writing for all these characters at Marvel and DC that no one gives a shit about. Maybe when he's done doing Batman and Daredevil, he can do it. But,
right on.
no, I mean, I love Jorge, and he's the true star on that project. And I'm so happy for what he's doing. And he's apparently teaming up with Tom King, who, like, I mean, I love Tom King. A lot of my work is influenced by Tom. And I don't know him personally, but I'm a huge, huge fan.
Sorry. Can you explain the ending for a Midnight Vista for me? I hate to ask. You know, I was confused by the last scene. I had to ask. I have to ask. You know, it's gonna bother.
Spoil the whole thing for everybody.
I know. I don't want to. I almost want to take it off the chat. You know what I mean? Like take it off screen and ask in person.
I mean, you know.
You can tell him no.
I'm going to give you a cop-out answer, and it's whatever you want. It's whatever you want.
I knew it, man. All right.
You know, I mean, like, when I was writing that story, I was initially focusing on Oliver. But really, when I started to end it, I realized the story's about Detective Martinez. And it's about a man, like, at the end of that story, Detective Martinez's life is ruined, right? Like, he has just witnessed something insane. Mm-hmm. He believes it, and now he's out of a job. And it's just like, and his like wife is like, I kind of tease that he's like already on the rock,
hanging on,
yeah. But it's just like, you know, I mean,
it's like a journey. I took it as a journey of him, like just realizing that the unbelievable is believable. You know what I mean? It was his more like mindset of that switch, that changed. I mean, that's the whole point of it, I thought, but I mean, I just really want to know what happened to the main. I'm like, did the boy turn into an alien? Did he get rescued by an alien? Like what?
I mean, I know what I think it is. But like, my only read is I wish I had one more page just to like, people were like, it's a little bit of an abrupt ending. And that's just like, I get it. It is abrupt, but like, that's the end. That's the end of the story. And it's just like, when you're dealing with something, people like, humans like linear narratives. Like humans like a narrative that ends and has a beginning. It's a source of great comfort because it makes sense. But it's just like,
things aren't like that. Yeah.
I mean, that's not how, if we're dealing with the supernatural and we're dealing with things like this, that's not how it works. Like, even the story of the Bible is still incomplete, technically, right? There's still one more chapter left to write. And like, none of us want it to actually happen, but it's just like, I mean, like, it's, I mean, I don't know. I have my personal feelings about it, and I am a believer that a lot of this stuff, that from the religious spirituality to the weird phenomena, I think a lot of it is like a psychic event. Like I'm starting to believe that. I'm not necessarily a believer in like 42 different races of alien species. Although it is fun. It is super fun to talk about secret alien reptile people. But like I am starting to believe that like some of this stuff is a product of we are making it in conjunction with something. Like, and I don't know enough about it to explain it further.
What else can we get from you coming out? Like sometime, are you working on some stuff that's coming out sometime soon, right?
Bleed Them Dry coming out from Vault. I'm just the writer on that one, but it's super fun. It's something I haven't done this much like action in a book since like my Valiant like days. And so like I'm enjoying doing that, and like it's just a different kind of muscle, like trying to figure out how to like make it a compelling story, but at the same time, like doing something fun that people can read. And It's just a story about like in the future, it's like vampires are real, but we're totally cool with it, and like they're pretty tight, and like, you know, it's about like a vamp. What if like a vampire slayer was considered like a serial killer, right? Like, and it's like kind of about that story. And then, you know, the Robot's Tale thing I'm working on with Z2. That's been a trip. It's been crazy. The turnaround on that was crazy, but like that's a story about, you know, it turned into a story about faith. Oddly enough, just because my mind is always there. And then I got another Aftershock book coming down the pipe that you'll be hearing about. I don't know when. Soon.
Sure.
And I'm pretty excited about that. And then I'm doing a story at Oni Press that we'll be talking about soon. And then some other things that are pretty huge that if I think about them too much, I might have to put my head in an oven. No, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm just a nervous person, and I do not do that, and that's bad, and I should not joke about that.
Wow, that's a lot, man. That's a lot coming out. Jeez.
Yeah, let me say this. Comic Book Bob all show long has been dropping links to all of Eliot's work. So you can look in the live chat. There's links in the description for upcoming stuff. You can follow Eliot on Twitter there. You see it on the screen. Again, that's also in the description below. I want to thank you for coming on. And, man, sometimes these interviews get monotonous. They come on and they just want to talk about the book and only the book. I like having conversations, and I appreciate you bringing a deep conversation.
Right.
And I hope the live chat and our listeners enjoy it. But for me personally, I wish Joe Rogan was here to talk to you, because that's the level of conversation you brought, and I appreciate you bringing that to the show.
Oh yeah. No problem, guys. Maybe next time I'll make it. You just caught me on a good day. That's all.
I think Bob. I want to throw out too that I didn't see the link. Is that also the paybacks?
Oh yeah. Yes. That's a very fun story. It's a very fun story.
Yeah, it is absolutely fun, and every time I see Blood Pouch, I laugh. So yeah,
Blood Pouch is great, dude. And Night and fucking all the
Night.
He never rides a unicorn.
Show Eliot tons of love, social media, all that stuff below. Go check out his books. Eliot, we thank you for coming on. It's been a lot of fun. We're going to let you jump off here. But we'll catch back up with you, man. When some stuff starts coming out, we'll get back with you and get you back on the show.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, let's do it again.
I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you, dude.
Have a good one, Eliot.
Let's do it again.
Yeah, you too.
That was awesome, man. That guy's awesome. Dude,
never ceased to amaze me.
Dude. Yeah. I feel like we could have talked to him forever, like literally, like all day. Yeah, he's great. He's awesome.
I can't think about stuff like that, man. I got to talk about Nextwave now.
Like there was times I was just the whole time I'm like, God, he should be on Rogan, not here with four
we don't
idiots.
Have any good questions.
Like I'm trying to analyze and process all this stuff he's saying. Oh man, what a great interview!
It was all meant to. I mean,
I thought you were cringing the whole time, Adam.
We picked Nextwave and then Eliot comes on, who was also part of Paybacks, which is kind of the same kind of
same style. Yeah, it's like parody towards the superhero deconstruction. Yeah. And also like the absurdism of it too.
It's absurd.
Just,
exactly. It's absurd.
Freaking Blood Pouch right there. He's got so many pouches. He even has a pouch for an eye patch.
Yeah.
He's got an eye pouch.
Can we transition and move through all this in 30 minutes? Let's do it. I think we can do it. SpinWizComics.com. Random reviews. Check them out. SpinWiz Comics distribution platform for indie content. Tons of great stuff there. People that have been on the show are available. They're setting up print on demand and also an app. Check them out. SpinWizComics.com. Did anybody else read anything, or am I the only one?
SpinWiz. I've been reading some things.
I got a lot of stuff in the mail, so I'll show mine after you guys are done.
I read Nextwave.
Up like
back.
X-Men stuff. I reread all that.
Really?
I started Transformers again. More Than Meets the Eye. Number one.
Wow.
Like I got 10 issues into that. Rereading that.
I got my
okay. Go
Boston
ahead.
Metaphysical.
You go, Adam.
Yeah.
You go, Adam.
By Holly Rosing, Tavares Pateri, and it comes with the bonus print stuff.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gomer.
No. Please go ahead.
Please show us more books that you have not and will not read.
But that Transformer stuff, man, still just as good as I remember. It's like I think my third time through the whole More Than Meets the Eye James Robertson run. So very good stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna read that Transformers run one of these days.
Yeah,
You'll,
right, you liar.
So this
You
is my baby. This is what I've been doing all week long. Green Arrow,
Bing.
Jeff Lemire, Sorrentino, man, so good. It puts a new twist on the whole Arrow origin story. But one of my favorite things about the whole story is the villain, Count Vertigo. Gomer, how much have you read this?
No.
Oh,
I have
wow.
not read that.
So do you even know anything about
I know
Count
nothing
Vertigo?
about it. It's on my list to read stuff, man. I've got a really long list of stuff to read.
If you've watched enough DC
I
animated,
get
you know
Lemire and
about
Sorrentino in my whatever, the barn, red barn, black barn.
Because
Get
I had never heard of Count Vertigo, so I went and Googled it. And basically Lemire just went back like 20 years to find a character to bring to light. And this character, let me find a page. I gotta
read that, dude. I gotta get the hardcover.
Dude, you guys like stuff like this. It's just
I love that team.
is perfect.
Oh,
yeah, I need that. I need that.
It's so insane. And like people, I saw people I tweeted out about it and somebody responded and said, talking about the War of the Clans and the Arrow Clan and how everybody in the Arrow Clan, it actually came from the Black Barn and all this. And it's like, dude,
yeah,
what?
the arrows are made out of the barn.
Yeah.
Dude,
Look at
so good.
this. I tweeted this one out. Look at that.
Remember Sorrentino? He's like, oh yeah, baby. Didn't he say something like that? I was like,
I think he was eating it up too, man. But
that's so good.
There's a single issue in this where they focus on Count Vertigo. And they tell this whole origin story of how he came up. His mom was a prostitute, and his mom, like, he's hungry, and his mom, like, I don't think there's anything in the fridge. Mom's got to go to work. Hopefully, I can make some money tonight, and you can eat tomorrow. And this poor kid just left behind, and she's like, when I come home, I may have a customer with me. I need you to stay in your room type. And it's heartbreaking because here's this mother who is trying to provide any way possible for her child. And then you kind of come full circle and get to the end and you're in the present day. And what Count Vertigo does is insane, man. It is, the issue is called Mama's Boy. Single issue. So good. You got to buy it. You got to read it.
Wow.
This story is
I need that.
freaking great, man.
Yeah,
so good.
Steel. Nice choice, Priest Cohen.
What's Willie P doing showing up right at the end?
Hey, Willie.
Yeah, this is show and tell. Show us what you got,
big
Jason.
Got this in the mail today. Got the Alex Ross Marvels hardcover.
Nice.
Which I'm super stoked.
Very good read.
To go into. Yeah. And then I got the
let's put that anywhere.
It's broken now.
Right? No, it's something else. Got the Kingdom Come Absolute Edition.
Dang, those are like the
Alex Ross duality, dude.
Yeah. Alex Ross Universal duality.
Like
look at you go.
Yeah. Nice
Beautiful.
founding, dude. I'm stoked to open this up.
Beautiful slipcase, man.
Then Secret Wars. Got this from my buddy, the Great Legends.
Nice.
Happy birthday to that dude. Only $50.
Nice,
and,
nice.
And it is clean.
It
dude.
is clean.
Like,
it's at least an 8. Just
dude. This has got to be like
just
a 9.2.
What's the spec market on that, bro?
Like the color, dude, is like not faded at all. Like all the other ones I've seen, dude. It's beautiful.
It looks great, man.
Call Andy.
Also, I want to give a shout out too to our homie Dave Chisholm. Got my Canopus 1 and 2 in the mail from Scout Comics because the ones from my LCS were like dented and banged up. So got some nice condition ones finally. They threw in a Stabity Bunny that was signed, which is really cool. Them
number 1.
Yeah.
A first print number 1.
Yeah.
Man, that's might be worth something.
I also ordered a shirt, so I'm not sure if they're gonna give me a shirt later, or they just gave me the Stabity Bunny for not having a shirt.
The shirt, the number one cover.
But they also got a commissioned box coming from Dave to put in all your issues of Canopus. He's selling those like individually, so I'm on the list of his. And then of course God Country and Venom signed ones I had lying around.
Very good.
And then last two things.
Do it. Keep bragging. Bragging.
I like show and tell, man.
Blade and Wolverine exclusive cover.
Nice. The
Virgin
naked cover. The naked
Yeah.
one.
And then
No dress. What is that? I can't tell what that is.
God, what was it called? The newest Hickman one.
X-Men.
No, the other one.
Yeah. Decorum. Yeah, thank you.
The one Adam and I hated.
There's only one issue. I'm gonna have to reread the first issue when number 2
It's one issue, but it took you 3 days to read it.
I read it like 10 times. It was so good.
I ordered I think 3 or 4 different Decorum exclusive covers. So I love this comic, this issue so much that I had to get like all of them.
It was like a master class.
You can hang them up around your house, and they really will be Decorum.
Yeah, right.
I saw your shirt, Jason. For a moment, I thought it was a 3-panel crime shirt.
No, it's
great
a
idea.
Punk band.
Great idea.
Punk band from 1970. One of the first punk bands ever. Yeah, dude. They're awesome. They're from San Francisco. But I wore it more because the Hot Lunch special. It's crime families. You know what I mean? Like, so that was the theme for
look
that.
At Jason, like
nice. Wow,
doing all of his homework,
putting on a theme. He got his own theme.
I usually have a
sweet wrestling T-shirt.
Yeah, I'm just rocking some nerd.
I usually have it. Again, I got the alien back there for Midnight Vista.
This guy.
Look at this guy.
Usually I have a theme for stuff I wear. Usually
this guy,
for like our guests at least.
You getting that Secret Wars graded? You got to do it. It's a Secret Wars.
Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Gotta do it now.
First black suit, Spidey.
I found mine at a flea market. It's beat up, but it's still that one.
Nice.
Gomer said more than hey.
I never read Steel, but I saw the movie with Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh my gosh, of course you did.
Oh man, I'm watching his reality show and it is strangely entertaining. Because I love Shaq. You know he plays basketball, right?
I started watching the Big Show. Well, I didn't start watching it. I put
Big Show
like Netflix. If you
That's
highlight
a Disney,
it's
a Disney show.
It's so
well on Netflix. If you highlight one of the panels, it'll show like the trailer thing. And I did that with the Big Show.
I've turned mine off.
And I got like 5 seconds in. I was like, nope, this is crap.
Yeah.
I watched like the first 2 or 3 episodes with the kids, and then they started watching it without me because it's nothing but a Disney show.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Big Show in a Disney.
It's a Disney show.
Let's move on.
Oh, it's Disney?
It's not.
No,
it's a Netflix, but it is a Disney show.
Yeah, they stole the damn.
Let's get
I
into
thought maybe Jaleel White could save it, but
Steve Urkel.
Why? Just because he's Steve Urkel?
I know. Right?
Yes, because he's entertaining.
He might as well be a Disney guy too.
He's entertaining, but then I'm watching. It's like it just seemed like he was just either phoning it in or the dialogue is that bad.
It's bad.
You just remember.
You know what's great though?
It was
OutrightGeekery.com.
It is.
OutrightGeekery.com, your one-stop shop for news, reviews, previews, podcasts, everything geek at your fingertips. Also, the home of the Outright Geekery Podcast Network. Check them out. The Geek Savs, Get Valiant, the Comic Book Bullies, Instruments of Destruction, and, of course, ComicCast. OutrightGeekery.com.
Check out the Bullies. They just had a new.
Stay here and watch us.
They started a new show, The Danger Room. Basically, unpopular opinions.
It's weird. It's like debating weird stuff.
Or you could stay here and listen to us talk about Nextwave,
which we know you're going to do.
Well, let's start off. Can I ask a question before we start getting into what's your favorite Warren Ellis book?
Nextwave.
I'm a Jason. I'm like,
Yeah. I haven't read much. I only read some of the Moon Knight that he did, and like this off the top of my head. Like I don't remember like a lot.
There's an Avatar Press book called Ignition City that is so damn good.
Are we doing that next week?
I've seen that in dollar boxes.
We're not. It's in dollar boxes. It is.
No, next week Gomer's going to make us read the encyclopedia and
no, whatever.
The letter A.
Is it my choice? Do I have to have a choice? No one told me I had.
I was just thinking that right now during the ad. I was like, we've not picked the book for next week yet.
Wow.
Warren Ellis is one of those writers that are like so important. Like I feel like I've always wanted to study and get into, but I have not yet done so. I know Matt Fraction, and that's where he met his wife, Kelly Sue DeConnick, was in fan chats of Warren Ellis.
Oh, wow.
And I think maybe Greg Rucka was there too. Like it's
was it on the Bendis forums, like Jinx World?
It could be. I think I don't know. Maybe no. It was before that. I think, but I think Bendis was there too. Yeah, so I mean, they're all the same kind of homies. Yeah, great covers. These are awesome.
We'll figure out the book. We can talk.
gray
We can talk after we go off air about what the book's going to be next.
Oh,
week.
I have an option already, just off the top of my head.
Okay, we'll do it at the end. We're
We're
supposed to have Drew Zucker on next week, the artist on Canto. So I got to reach out to him, see if he's going to come on. If not, we'll just roll on. It'll be fine.
Do you guys have the fake what if, or not what if, the Civil War, non-Civil War cover? Do you have that issue cover?
Yeah. I don't have it here in front of me. It's upstairs. Okay. But I do have that issue.
This is the
issue 11. I think it's issue 11.
This one's actually done in newspaper print.
Oh, wow.
Like the Alterna. So they encourage you to color the pages.
That's awesome.
Of issue number 5.
So let's start this thing this way. Okay. Adam, this is your baby. You picked this book. It's your favorite comic book ever. Why? I want you to tell us. I want you to tell us what the book's about and why it's your favorite comic book of all time.
The book is the best thing you can do is get the director's cut, because it has the actual pitch in the back of the pitch that Warren Ellis gave about this book. But it's basically about this team who is hired by H.A.T.E, to basically be like, for lack of better words, kind of like their Avengers team. But they find out that the company that's funding it used to be a terrorist cell. And so they kind of go rogue. And so while they're off fighting these like Fin Fang Foom and these other things, they H.A.T.E and Dirk Anger are following them, trying to catch them, and everything. But
for me,
and shenanigans too. It's definitely. Oh my gosh, it's just really hard because, I mean, reading Warren Ellis's pitch. Where's Amy? We need Amy here. Brian, you are no longer number 1. We need Amy back. Amy, come back. You want me to?
I want to know why this is your favorite comic book of all time.
I'm still waiting for you to answer the damn question. Why is this your favorite comic?
It's so absurd. Is it?
I can tell that this was.
It does not take itself serious, and I cannot stand when someone takes himself too serious.
Every character is ridiculous, dude.
So Adam hated the first 50 minutes of this podcast.
Yeah. No, because we're just talking. If I have to sit and read something that takes itself too seriously, then it's almost like when I hear a kid, like a child in a movie, talking like they're an adult, like when they're an adult.
I'm sorry. I'll apologize for.
No. Let's just move on.
He's talking about the book, not Adam. He's talking about the book.
Oh, is he talking about the book? That's like a little kid telling a story.
Yes, that's the way I took it. If he's talking about Adam, I would have not put that on the screen.
Yeah,
I'm not buying that.
I didn't think the book was childish in any way. I thought it was written wonderfully. I thought the characters were amazing. I thought it was weird to put all these characters together. Director Anger or made what?
How many times have you read this?
This is my first time reading this all the way through.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
I initially read the Civil War tie-in because I collected anything that had Civil War on the damn cover of the book.
And it wasn't really, right? It was.
It had nothing to do with Civil War.
It said this is not a Civil War tie-in. They left this out or whatever.
It had Civil War on it, and I wanted it as part of my Civil War collection.
I love that. I need that issue.
But you know what this reminded me of? This is Doom Patrol for Marvel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
It felt like a Doom Patrol style book for Marvel. And It was, in that context, to me, this was perfect.
Brilliant.
It was absurd. It was well written. The art was spot on. All of the characters were compelling. I loved them all. I wanted more. He would, Ellis would give us these little backstories that were meant more like to be comedy, but they were freaking heartbreaking, their backstories. I wanted more of that. And yeah, it was great. A bunch of misfits who try to become a family. You know what I mean? You could see that coming. Even Monica, who is all raving about how great the Avengers were. That's her hang up, dude. The Avengers aren't that great. And every example of her having an interaction with the Avengers was terrible. You know, it was just a horrible interaction.
She got like sexually harassed and stuff all the time.
Right? Weird that Ellis goes there, but I loved the fact that he did. And yeah, this was a wonderful read. I'm glad it was assigned.
It was really fun for me. Like, I thought it was cool how it was like this SHIELD type program controlling like an Avengers group, and then like Hydra buys SHIELD, and so they leave, you know, and now they're battling kind of like their former owners.
Is Captain America the Winter Soldier? That's basically Nextwave. They stole everything from the first 3 pages of this book.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious, man. I thought it was brilliant that they brought in not Brand Eck or Etch or whatever, however you pronounce that.
Yeah.
For me, that was, you know, pure Mr. Nobody, you know, Doom Patrol, absurdism and existential craziness. It was awesome. That was my favorite part when he took off the little, you know, pot helmet and just like rays of imagination, you know, just kind of expand out. That was my favorite issue. This is definitely like a series or a collection I got to buy physically, I think, because at first when I started reading it, I didn't dig it, you know, and then I realized what it was. I just had a misunderstanding of what I was getting into. And then I was like, okay, this got better and better, like every issue. And I like fell in love with the characters more and more I read them, and everything became more likable every issue. And I really wish like it continued on. You know, I feel like Ellis was just getting started. You know, this is kind of like their basis, their foundation of how they stay together, because now they have the ship of, and this city or whatever that they're on, the secret state that they're on has all these inventions. They can do whatever and create whatever they want now as well. Yeah. You know, they're just getting started the way it ended. So that's a shame. But yeah, cool story. I'm really glad Adam recommended it. It was a nice pull.
It debuted just before Civil War and Annihilation began, really, in Marvel Comics. And by the time
seeing the Annihilation ads I had the actual physical copies.
Yeah. So by the time it got to the point where Ellis was trying to save it, and you could tell by some of the covers and even some of the dialogue later on that he knew the book was on the brink of being canceled. And then it was, because there were 30 tie-ins to buy for Civil War and Annihilation.
When I read this,
that's what happened, Yul? It was just costing him too much money. I mean, he's worked with them since, hasn't he? I don't know.
For me, it's exactly what I expected. When Adam liked it and Adam said this was his favorite book, it felt like, and I say this a lot, it felt like Saturday morning cartoons. It felt like you sit down and you got 2 issues. Like issue 1 and 2 was Fin Fang Foom, right? And it's kind of the introduction and then the excitement and then the wrap. And then you move on to issues 3 and 4. And it's the cop story. And then, you know, it's kind of the introduction of how he becomes the way he is. And then in the next issue, it like escalates. And then there's the conclusion. And it's like little 2-issue bits and pieces. It's funny. It's like Adam said, don't take it too serious. You can't, it's not
They're
my
literally
thing.
growing cyborgs like corn.
Right. I mean, it's not my thing, but I understand it. I understand it.
Yeah.
I understand it. I like in-depth. I like stuff that is depressing and sad. I talk about it all the time. Like the Arrow book I read this week. It's like, it's real world stuff. Yeah. It's so good. It's so deep. This, if you want to sit down and have a fun time, if you don't want to sit down and read Snyder on Batman or Justice League and your mind is like just going in circles trying to wrap your head around it, or Hickman, something like that. If you just want to sit down and read a comic and escape and have fun, that this is what you read, something like this. Like I don't know what to rate it, because for me a $2.99 means I want more. If like this is the type of book Adam lets me borrow, I read it and I have a good time, but I wouldn't buy the collected thing. I just don't care. So it's like between $1.99 and $2.99 for me. Maybe $2.99 because I get it.
Exactly. I'm going to give it a perfect score because I do get it. And
yeah, me too. Yeah.
The art was great. The writing was spot on. And I think you're right, Boogie. It was supposed to be not really this deep thing, not a deep character dive. There were hints there, but you're right. He never got into it. It was Saturday morning cartoons, but that's okay because that's what he was going for, and he nailed it. Yeah,
dude, I didn't even think it was Doom Patrol until you guys said it, because it definitely had those introspective moments towards the end where it could be very deep. And Warren Ellis is such a known great writer that he could go anywhere and do anything with that. Did you guys have a favorite like bad guy or creation.
The director was amazing, dude.
Oh,
When he's talking about drinking 3 bottles of wine at dinner, and he's like, I drink a bottle of whiskey every day, and I eat raw meat because I'm a man, and I smoke 3 packs of cigarettes and cigars.
Yeah, the Nick Fury kind of guy.
That dude was my favorite character of the whole series. Love that.
I think the homicide crash.
He kept trying to kill himself over and over again. He had that giant gun. He was sitting in a chair.
Like Luke Mackface.
Hilarious.
Every issue, he tried to kill himself a different way. That was so good.
And then they win by stealing his dress. Come on, it's awesome. It's so stupid and silly. It's amazing.
If this was a movie, he would be played by Dennis Leary. I think that's what they probably
that'd be
perfect with Dennis Leary.
That'd be so great. With the little lizard cigarette thing. Yeah.
I mean, I love the captain, especially when he's going around all his going through all of his captain incarnations, like and then he's like, I was Captain Ron. I got sued. I was Captain L. Ron. Tom Cruise beat me up. Yeah. And then he finally just settles on the captain.
That was awesome.
But I think my favorite still sticks with issue 11, where you have the 2 panels or 2-page spreads of the battles, and there's just absurdity. There's giant monkey Wolverines. There's like Modocs that with Elvis heads.
That was my favorite. Feature. That's one reason I brought this up, because I want to talk about the Modoc Elvis heads. Were just brilliant. I need a shirt that has a Modoc Elvis head on it, or just a brand new character of just that, where that came from. It's so good.
But I think my favorite one of that was the Stephen Hawking's attacking.
The wheelchair. They're Romans. They had like a little Roman symbol on the back, and they had little spokes on the wheelchairs.
There was a giant brontosaurus with Cyclops.
That was from Willow, dude. The creature from Willow, the double-headed brontosaurus. That was from Willow.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Oh.
And anything with Boom Boom in it, dude, I'm sold. I love Boom Boom.
Apparently she has no brains, and that's why
she's just a regular teenage girl, who's just kicking ass. She's
Jason,
great in New Mutants right now.
Did you give it $3.99 too?
$3.99, dude. Yeah, I'm gonna give it $3.99. Nice. Yeah,
I'm assuming Adam rates it $3.99.
I'll give it $3.99,
dude. Especially just for the ending, like
discount bin.
Dude, that last battle, man. I mean, I guess the battle before last, when the CEO had all those different villain groups come in and attack them. Yeah. Just all the creativity for all that. And then my favorite, I love seeing Brand Eck. When he was just Shadow, when they teased him, I was like, oh, crap, they're going to go there. They're going to go like crazy weird. And then they did, especially when he took off the head and went back into all the characters' past and stuff, and a different imagination, alternate universe for all of them. That was brilliant. I want to see more of that, dude. It was so cool. And then he got punched away, so he could be a returning villain again later on if he wanted them to. I thought it was awesome. So yeah, and
that's why I also like the papers, because it's along the same lines.
Yeah, I read that first issue. I liked it a lot. So I'll read it eventually. But yeah. That's good.
We got to wrap this thing up. Should we let Gaumer pick the next book, or should we let the patrons?
Whose turn is it? Is it supposed to be Gaumer's turn?
We've all gone, but I think we should let the patrons pick one. We've not let them pick anything, and they're paying to pick the book of the week.
They're going to pick something bad or something we don't have.
So do you.
We have it, though. Everything I pick, I know I can get us.
What did we talk about for 50 minutes? Faith. Have faith.
Oh, this guy.
What do you want to pick, and then I'll decide.
I was going to pick Southern Bastards by Jason Aaron.
Okay, yeah, we'll go with that.
I already read Volume 1 like a million times.
It's so good, though, dude.
Should we go Volume 2 then or something?
Well, we
can't go Volume 2.
I mean, that's why we're picking that kind of stuff.
I've read Volume 1 like 3 times.
It's so good.
Actually, listener of the podcast, Matthew Lane has all of my volumes of Southern Bastards.
Oh, it's so good. I love it.
I've like never read anything past Volume 1, and for different conversations in YouTube groups and stuff, I've had to review Volume 1 like 3 different times.
I've read Volume 1 4 times. How about you read Volume 2, 3, and 4 that are great?
Big Willie wants us to pick Southern Cross. It's like a sci-fi image.
I think I have the first volume of that.
I know we have a copy of it.
Was he a wrestler for Southern State Wrestling?
I think he was.
Oh wait, that was Iron Cross. Never mind.
But we can pick whatever. Yeah, let's let the patrons pick.
Okay, we'll do that. Yeah.
Right.
No, Bob is like, patrons or members, you can get the emojis for 99 cents a month. Patrons that get to select the book of the week are paying $5 a month. So, yeah, we're going to go with patrons.
You got to bump that up.
You can go to patreon.com/ComicCastPod and become a backer and vote on the book of the week and join our private Facebook group where Venomized Ryan yells at us all the time.
It's okay. I've learned to love it.
Well, I appreciate that. Let's wrap this thing up and get out of here. We're going to let the patrons back it. We'll be tweeting it out, so look for that and come read along with us.
Yeah.
We'll be back to new comics really soon. I cannot wait. It's going to be weird when the show returns to normal.
Man, I like this break of reading old stuff, dude. I don't want it to stop.
I would have this has been sitting in my house for months, dude.
Do you think we should make
that?
You think we should make like another
new comics so much?
I don't, dude. I have so much to read. So it's like everything is new to me, anyways.
Another show. Let's do another show where we got.
I was gonna say, I'll say, do you guys want to do this like every?
We talked about doing the monthly book club thing. We could still do that.
Yeah, we could do that, dude.
I'm just saying.
I'll be down to do it for another week too. Like every week too. I'd be down for that.
Oh,
I see
that's too much with regular books coming out.
Yeah. Should we replace an episode of Comic Cast with the book club or do it as a bonus show?
I don't know, man. I like the idea of the bonus show because I hate missing out on a week of new comics. But those are my favorite kind of comics of the new ones, man.
You can say that because we got demonetized a long time ago.
Fuck yeah. For new
comics. That's the one. That's the one that got us demonetized, right?
Yeah. They're like, oh, we heard that one. Yeah.
We'll figure it out. I like the idea of a book club too, but it's just so hard, man. It's so hard to read.
It's hard with new comics, man. That's what stopped me from reading all this cool stuff now because of all the new stuff. That's why I stopped.
We don't have to read all the new stuff. But
that's the problem. I need to trim my pull.
I feel like I have to too to keep up with continuity, man. It's a responsibility.
You don't have to. You just go to Wikipedia and that'll keep you up to date.
It's not the same.
There's just no pictures.
Yule's criticizing Man Bear Pig. Those guys are both on Twitter just yelling at people.
I love it.
Keep
it up, guys. Keep it up.
Let's wrap this thing up. We're out of here. We'll figure it out. We're going to let the patrons pick the book of the week. We'll let you guys know what we're going to do with the book club. But for Gomer, for Comics Misexplained, for Adam White Adams, I'm Boogie Bentley. We'll see you guys next week.